Let's do Leetcode 217 contains duplicate. Given an integer array nums, return true if any value appears at least twice, and return false if every element is distinct. So we're going to cover 4 different solutions: a brute force, just a naive n-squared approach, a brute force where we've sorted the array, a hashing solution, which will be the fastest in time complexity, and then a Python trick where you can do it in just one line. So let's forget the whiteboard for this first brute force solution and just jump straight into the code. We're just going to do 2 for loops and check every pair of numbers in the array. And if any of them are the same, then we can stop and return true. And if both loops pass and we haven't found a pair, then we can just return false. So for I in range of length nums, and then for j starting at I plus 1, so we're not checking the same number, also ending right before out of bounds. We want to see if nums of I is the same as nums of j. We can just return true, and if both for loops get all the way through, we know there's not a solution. So the solution is actually too slow to pass all the test cases, but that's okay. Our time complexity is O of n squared because we have 2 for loops going through the entire array. But our space complexity is constant because we don't even have any variables. We're just checking in the loops itself. So this problem is interesting because you get to see the trade-off between time complexity and space complexity. So as we get to our more optimal time complexity solution, we're going to use more up space. Spoiler alert, the time complexity is going to be O of n and the space complexity is going to be O of n for our hashing solution. So that was our naive brute force solution. Let's see what happens when we sort the array first. So if we sort the array, we can bump down the time complexity. Now all we have to do is just one loop through the array. We're going to go ahead and start at 1 instead of 0 because we're going to be checking the leftmost number, 2i. So to show you what I mean, if nums of I minus 1 is equal to nums of I, then we want to return true. So if we started at 0 like normal, we'd get an out of bounds. And if we get through the entire thing, then we just want to return false like last time. So this one is fast enough to pass the test cases. That's because the time complexity is now O n log n because we sorted it, which is n log n, and then we went through just once, so it's actually 2 n log n, which simplifies down to an n log n solution. And our space complexity is still constant because we still don't have any variables and we aren't storing anything. So we've gone through 2 brute force solutions that had nonlinear time complexity. Now we can use hashing to get a linear solution. So what we're going to want to do is use either a dictionary or a set. I'm going to just go ahead and use a set. I'm going to name it nums scene. And we're going to loop through the array just once. We can just do for number in nums. If the num is in nums scene, the set, as in we've seen it before, then we'll want to return true because it means it's a duplicate. If not, then we can just go ahead and add it to the set so that if we see it next time, we can return true. And once again, if it gets past the loop, it means that we didn't find any duplicates and we can return false. So as you see, the solution passes. The time complexity is now just O of n because we're just doing one pass through the array. And the space complexity is also O of n because in the worst case, we have saved every single number into the set. So for the last solution, I'm just going to show you how to do it in one line using Python. It's actually going to be pretty similar to our last one because we're also going to use a set. And what we can do is take the length of the set and compare it to the length of the original array. So the length will convert the array into a set. So this will only take one of every number. So this will be the set of this is just 1, 2, 3. And if it's not equal to the length of numbers, so this is 4, then we know that there's a duplicate and this is going to want to return true. And so if there wasn't a duplicate, then it'll return false. It's a little hard to wrap your head around the at least for me, the Boolean logic. So I kind of prefer the other solution, but it's cool to see that you can just do it in one line. And the solution works and has the same time complexity as our set solution previously. So I hope that was helpful, and I'll see you in the next one.